I used to babysit you, so now you have to pay for my mother's funeral. When I started high school, I have had this friend I had a lot in common with. At 15 we both were working part-time in retail, after school and on weekends. In my country, if you are a minor, you can work part-time with consent of your legal guardians as soon as you are 15 or older, while receiving much smaller wage than a regular employee. We never received any pocket money from our parents, so we really needed it, and on top of that, we agreed to offer to our mothers to pay for our school supplies, clothes and bus tickets, which they gladly accepted, since we were both eldest sisters to younger siblings and our families were not rich. Everybody who worked in retail knows how much one has to endure, so every penny was a hard-earned one. My friend have had this entitled aunt, which was actually her father's half-sister, different mother. This entitled aunt was pestering my friend at her job, constantly asking for discounts and for free designer clothes for her brat. This store sold kid clothes, and very rarely there were their designer pieces, but she demanded them anyway. If she wasn't asking for free stuff, she was hovering above my friend and talking at her, making my friend's manager nervous about her hanging out with family and discussing private matters at work. Luckily, my friend was somehow able to explain it to her manager, and after the entitled aunt has been caught taking clothes out of the racks and throwing on the ground the ones she didn't like for my friend to tidy up, she was banned from the store. One day my friend received a phone call from the entitled aunt, that entitled aunt's mother has died. My friend felt sorry for her and offered her condolences, but entitled aunt had something else in mind. Entitled aunt, listen, I know you have this fancy job at this designer store. It was not a designer store. I bet you make a lot of money, so I was wondering if you could pay for my mother's funeral. My friend was taken aback by this, but thinking her aunt cannot afford even the most basic funeral, church ceremony, cremation and urn, maybe some flowers, she offered a small amount of money, one that she was saving for summer. Remember, this was not her grandmother by blood, and she has never even met her. It was not much, but could cover at least a decent urn. Entitled aunt, are you serious? My mother had many friends, she deserves a proper, big, funeral, a nice casket, a good place at the cemetery and a nice wake at a restaurant. Now this was a very tall order. The funeral she had in mind was more expensive than some weddings, mainly because of booking a restaurant and getting a nice spot to rent at cemetery is a matter of thousands a year. Nowadays a good cemetery spot in the city is a real luxury, so most people opt for cremation and a spot in an urn grove at the cemetery. Old people often save up for a nice funeral, or have some sort of an insurance. The entitled aunt's mother either didn't have any of that, or the entitled aunt just didn't want to use the money for the funeral. My friend, I don't know what to say, I don't have that kind of money. Entitled aunt, sure you do. You live at home, you don't have to pay for shit. I am sure you are keeping all of the money to buy makeup and clothes and things you don't need anyway. This is a matter of principle. How can you be so selfish? I used to babysit you for 3 years after you were born. You owe me this. This was only true to some degree. Entitled aunt really did use to babysit my friend. One summer. And she got paid for it. My friend tried to explain she only earns less than minimum wage, and suggested entitled aunt asked other adults in the family for support, but did the entitled aunt listen? She kept trying to guilt-trip my friend into paying for the funeral, so she could pretend a higher social status in front of her acquaintances on the funeral. My friend said she cannot help beyond her means again, and cancelled the call. She then called her dad and told him about this crazy stuff, and he couldn't believe the audacity of his stepsister, trying to lure money from a 15-year-old. He later found out the entitled aunt was trying to get money from some other relatives too, and only succeeded to some degree. As a revenge, entitled aunt then called up the manager of my friends, trying to get her fired, claiming she is only 14-year-old, forgetting that at 15-year we already have our IDs in my country, which we use when we sign a contract with the employer.
Hey, if you want to see more similar videos like this one on daily basis, definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification to see our tomorrow's even better video.